Riders who skip out on paying cost BART an estimated $25 million each year. BART fare inspectors are in charge of catching those trying to get a free ride. They can issue $75 tickets, but there are only 11 inspectors for all of BART. The agency now hopes to just about double that team within the next year. In the meantime, to keep fare evaders off trains, BART spent close to $200,000 renovating fare gates at 2 stations. They installed these stacked barriers at one and these tiny blade-looking things in another. They're not actually sharp, and BART later painted them orange, maybe to look less blade-like. They're called pop-up barriers, but they only added a few more inches to the gates that were already there.
These are all prototypes.
That's Ed Alvarez, BART's interim police chief.
For a lot of passengers, those changes frankly looked laughable. Did you honestly think those gates would make a difference?
It's a prototype, the stuff that they're just putting out there.
But people can pretty easily get past those barriers. It just seems for some like a waste of money.
I don't think you'll ever 100% stop any crime or fare evasion or any of that quality of life issues from coming into our system, but we're going to do the best we can to try to limit it.
After the new gates went up, BART said it did see a decrease in the number of people sneaking through to catch a free ride. Those blade-like additions cut down fare evaders by 31%. The stacked barriers, 60%. But BART's board of directors recently nixed both designs and instead unanimously approved larger swing-style gates like these.
Installing the new barriers at each of BART's 48 stations will cost about $150 million. But just when that will happen is unclear, because BART still doesn't know where it's going to find all that money to build the new gates.
I'm the new general manager with BART.
Finding those millions is now this guy's job.
Is this your train?
Bob Powers took over as general manager for BART about 4 months ago. As part of the new gig, he's periodically visiting BART stations to speak directly to passengers.
Well, anything you want to share?
What are you hearing from riders?
The homelessness and the fare evasion seem to be constant themes that people notice.
It's like they never paid a BART ride in their life.
We are all over it, and we got the new approval for some new swing gates, and we call it hardening the stations.
Do you think riders are safe on BART?
I do. I think BART is a safe system.
The reality is violent crime is more than doubled over the last few years.
I would push back and say that's because of the cell phone thefts. And if I pull the cell phone thefts out, that's not an accurate statement.
But those are still crimes that are being committed.
They are.
Okay, I want to pause here for just 1 minute to explain what's happening. We looked at the crime stats and discovered that violent crime on BART, which includes rape, robberies, aggravated assault, and murder, increased by 115% between 2014 and 2018. So that means violent crime on BART has more than doubled. What BART is now saying is that the rate of violent crime is only high if you include violent crimes where cell phones were taken. But here's the thing. Why should that matter? If someone steals anything from you using force or even the threat of force, by the FBI's own definition, that's a violent crime. Some might think hearing that BART's just trying to minimize the problem.
No, not at all. We're trying to eliminate the problem. I mean, if everybody's paying attention to their surroundings and I have a fully staffed BART police department, the goal is to eliminate that kind of behavior.
Your own police chief says he frankly doesn't have enough officers right now to keep people safe.
Well, look, I think the first thing I would say is we're going to get to a fully staffed BART police department. The second part of it is to make sure that our police department is out in the system, okay? Out walking the trains.
One of the biggest complaints we hear from riders is they frankly don't see officers on BART trains.
I've heard it. I've heard that this morning. And so I meet with the chief of police every Tuesday morning at 8:30 in my office, and we go over hiring and we go over his deployment. And we talked just last Tuesday about the need when they're out in the system that they walk the length of the train and that they're out being seen.
If your own chief of police doesn't think he has enough officers to keep people safe, what does that say?
I think when he gets fully staffed, BART will be even more responsive to being seen by the public in the system.
The police chief told us he'd like to have roughly 100 officers over the next 5 years.
Yeah.
Is that realistic?
It is, I do. We had a study that was done and said that we needed 19 police officers for the next, I believe, 5 years. And our BART board approved the first year, that last budget season. And so I have to go to the board every year to get my budget approved, but I'm going to put in there, 19 additional police officers, and hopefully the board will approve that.
If BART Police does get the extra money, how will those additional officers be used? Will you feel safer? Will you actually feel safer? And what happens if that plan stalls? This is a story we are definitely going to continue to follow up on, and we want you to be a part of it. What are you seeing out here? Send us your videos, or even just record yourself explaining what you saw. You can email us, or just get our attention on social media with the hashtag #WeInvestigate. We want to hear from you, so tell us, what do you think it will take to get BART back on track?